Hey, coming to you from the sidewalk at the Toronto Reference Library, which means you might get a little background noise here, but love that Sherlock Holmes artwork. So, let's talk about what's happening in Canadian politics, and it has been a couple of really fun days as we see the new Prime Minister Mark Carney start to actually do his new role. So we've seen the very first press interview, and what happened is being interpreted a couple of different ways online. I've watched the whole interview a couple of times, and I'm going to tell you my key takeaways. First and foremost, it's important to remember that Carney only has a minority government, not a majority government. He's going to have to build coalitions in order to ensure that anything actually gets done. And in his first meeting with the press, he laid out a very large to-do list. There's nothing particularly new or unexpected on that to-do list. It's everything we have heard before. The big question is going to be, hey, how effectively can you and your government execute this or not? But what's interesting is there is no doubt that he heard what Canadians said in the election. There are a couple of points that are absolutely borrowed and pulled from the Conservative campaign. This is a good thing. This is Carney doing the will of the people and acknowledging that not a majority of the country actually agreed with the vision that he put forward, and therefore within the vision that he's trying to deliver on, he is going to ensure that the best parts of that Conservative platform are part of it. So far I kind of like that. Now let's talk about the other fun thing that's happening with this, and I think this is incredibly important for where Canada needs to stand internationally. King Charles is giving the throne speech. One of the things that most fundamentally differentiates Canada from the US is our system of government. We are not a presidential system. We are not a union of states. We are a confederation which has a very, very different role and responsibility for the provinces. They have more autonomy over their decision making and their futures and their economies than any state in the US has over its. And we are not the presidential system. We are a parliamentary democracy based on the British system, and we are still members of the British Commonwealth, which means we don't have anything that looks like a president. We've got a king. Well, it was a queen for 50 some odd years with Queen Elizabeth II, but it's Charles now. We got a king. So it's sending a very important message, I think, having King Charles come and deliver the throne speech about who we are as Canadians. This is something that I hope is seen as a unification piece that everyone in the country can rally behind. Because one of the things that will prevent us from becoming the 51st state is the fact that we're actually a really different type of politics than the US. So that's important. It's symbolic, but important. Now, the third thing that I want to touch on here is what's happening with Pierre Poilievre. Pierre Poilievre is going to continue to be the head of the Conservative Party, and he is going to continue to be the leader of His Majesty's loyal opposition, which is a really good thing, because there is a reality that as the leader of that party, he delivered one of the largest increases in seat count that the Conservatives have seen in a long time, and a higher percentage of the popular vote than was ever seen under Stephen Harper. So it's a really good thing for Canada, even if I might not be one of his supporters, that he is going to continue to be able to be in that role. He's going to be running for a new seat in a by-election, which is going to be an Alberta seat. The MP who was elected to that seat has decided to step down in order for Pierre Poilievre to run in the by-election. Now, here's again where Carney's done something really incredible. Carney has the ability to postpone the time of that by-election by up to 6 months, which, with all of the other regulations around the wait times from when the current MP resigns until Poilievre can actually have the by-election called, yada, 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 yada. There's the ability, if Carney were petty, to force Pierre Poilievre to not be in Parliament until like January. That's not what's happening. Carney has already agreed that the second our Constitution allows for the by-election to be called in that riding, it will be called. Pierre Poilievre will be back in Parliament by the time the September session of Parliament opens, which is the earliest possible date based on Canadian law and the Canadian Constitution. You know, I gotta tell you, with how shall we say, kind of brutal some of the fights, a lot of the language, some of the rhetoric was in this election, Carney is doing nothing but showing the highest levels of integrity by making sure that Poilievre has the ability to win a seat in Parliament as soon as our laws allow. These are all good things. Look, there's a lot of bad that might happen in the next year and a half before the next time we go to the polls. But the reality is, first couple of days on the job, well done so far.